There is a visceral, almost universal appeal to roasting meat over an open fire. You hear the fat hissing against the heat, and you watch that perfect golden crust slowly begin to form. This technique spans the globe, from the South African braai to a Pakistani raan, or the vertical skewers of a traditional Balochi Sajji. But cooking over an open flame is a chemical gauntlet. When executed poorly, the intense heat generates hundreds of distinct toxic compounds. This is what happens when unregulated heat hits food. A raging flame emits invisible particles, like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, heterocyclic amines, and acrylamide. These compounds rise with the smoke and coat the surface of your meal. Countering these toxins begins hours before the fire is even lit. A deep marination of salt and umami-rich ingredients starts breaking down muscle fibers, allowing for a faster, more even thermal transfer. By accelerating the internal cook, you reduce the total time the exterior is exposed to the high temperatures where HCAs begin to spike. Success requires a calculated, scientific defense against thermal toxicity. Take a massive raw cut of meat, like a whole lamb or pig. Over the next 4 hours, your primary mechanical goal is avoiding one-sided charring, the specific condition where deadly heterocyclic amines form. This schematic shows the hardware to secure that massive weight. A 22mm skewer passes through the skeletal core. Back braces and steel prongs lock the meat so it doesn't slip during rotation. Finally, stainless steel wire stitches the cavity closed, keeping aromatics inside. Then comes the most critical mechanical variable for safety, the counterweight. An unbalanced load puts immense strain on the motor, causing a stuttering rotation that leads directly to uneven heat exposure and burning. Perfect mechanical balance on the spit is the first and most vital line of defense against chemical contamination. In a 4-hour roast, your fuel functions as an active chemical ingredient, dictating the molecular makeup of the final crust. Softwoods like pine or fir and unseasoned green wood are particularly dangerous. Their high moisture and heavy resins create toxic smoke, low ambient heat, and weak coals. This combination ruins the flavor and compromises the safety of the meat. Slow roasting requires ultra-dense, dry hardwoods. In South Africa, that usually means selecting a wood like cameel doring or mapani. Because these hardwoods are so dense, they burn slowly. They produce massive, consistent ambient heat with minimal smoke and a safe, mild aroma. Selecting the correct hardwood isolates the pure heat you need from the toxic byproducts of cheap combustion. As the meat slowly rotates, internal temperatures rise, and the thick layers of fat finally begin to render and drip. This keeps the massive cut moist and acts as a continuous self-basting mechanism over the long cook. However, there is a toxicological hazard here. If that dripping fat hits a direct, raging open flame, it instantly vaporizes into polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These PAH-laden smoke plumes ride the drafts straight back up and aggressively coat the exterior of the roasting meat. The physical solution is dynamic spit height adjustment. By moving the meat further away from the coals, you maintain low, even heat while avoiding direct flame contact from sudden flare-ups. Managing the spatial gap between rendering fat and glowing coals prevents vaporized toxins while preserving internal moisture. After hours of slow rendering, you reach the final phase of the timeline. The meat is lowered close to the coals for the last few minutes to rapidly develop a crust. This is the exact moment to score the surface of the meat at the very end of the cook rather than the beginning. It safely renders the final millimeter of fat without bleeding out the internal juices. You are looking for a deep golden amber char that is entirely free of dangerous, bitter black soot. The physical payoff comes during the carve. The knife glides right through a structurally perfect crust and into meat that effortlessly falls apart. A flawless open-fire spit roast is a 4-hour orchestration of physics to keep it turning, biology to keep it tender, and chemistry to keep it safe.